Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda. My name is Nick Park. I'm taking us through the books of the Old Testament, and we're seeing how each book reveals Jesus to us. It gives us a greater understanding of who Jesus is. And when we have a greater understanding of who Jesus is, we have a greater understanding of what the Bible, including the Old Testament, is all about. Now, we've reached now the books of 1st and 2nd Samuel. And 1st and 2nd Samuel deal with the two first kings of Israel. They deal with King Saul and also with King David. But they're not named after either of the kings. They're named after a prophet, Samuel. And the prophet Samuel, there's some striking resemblances between Samuel and Jesus. Samuel was born in unusual circumstances. His mother was barren, could not have a child, but went and prayed. And as she prayed at the tabernacle, God granted her a miracle. Now, actually, something very similar happened with the birth not of Jesus, but of John the Baptist. Whenever Elizabeth and particularly her husband Zechariah prayed, and there in the temple, God did a miracle and announced that they were going to have a son. And he became the forerunner of Jesus Christ, who was himself born in even more unusual circumstances than any human being who ever lived, because he was born of a virgin birth. Hannah prophesied over her young son. And in the same way, Mary also, while pregnant, prophesied about Jesus and who he would be. Samuel was dedicated in the tabernacle by his parents and ended up making, and later the tabernacle became his own home. And Jesus too. Jesus was dedicated at the temple and later would describe the temple as his father's house. In 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 26, it says, Samuel continued to grow in stature and in favour with the Lord and with people. And you have almost identical wording about Jesus in Luke's Gospel, where it says, Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favour with God and man. But the most striking resemblance that I see between Samuel and Jesus is Samuel's name. Samuel's name means heard of God. Now, not only was he heard of God, but God was heard of him, because Samuel heard what God had to say, and God listened to the prayers of Samuel. And Jesus, more than anybody else ever in history, more than anyone in the pages of the Bible, Jesus was heard of God. Jesus used to spend hours and hours and entire nights and days in prayer before his Father. And Jesus heard his Father and declared that which the Father told him to say. So just as Samuel means heard of God, Jesus himself has been heard of God more than any other. And the Bible reveals to us that Jesus right now is seated at the right hand of the Father. And you know what he's doing there? He's making intercession for us. Now that's a tremendous thing to understand, that Jesus is praying for you right now. Jesus is at the right hand. As God the Son, he's at the right hand of God the Father, and he's whispering your name into the Father's ear. He's saying, Lord, Father, bless him. Father, touch him. Lord, touch her life. Lord, help her through that situation. Jesus is praying for you because, like Samuel, Jesus is heard of God. And therefore we can have confidence that, I tell you what, we can have confidence because to have Jesus praying for you means God is going to do something great in your life. God bless you today. Join us again tomorrow for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda.